FCM hits the news, first century mark. And, this is something we've talked about in this program many times before. We played years ago the debate between Dan Wallace and Bart Ehrman, and we discussed the announcement on Dan's part regarding a fragment of Mark from the first century. Now, what's fascinating is, I just read through a couple of articles on this subject that have updates and secondary updates and tertiary updates and so on and so forth. There is still an awful lot of unanswered questions here. I mean, you had all this stuff about how this fragment had been found in an Egyptian funerary mask. And I even remember that Bart Ehrman was like, how dare they destroy an Egyptian funerary mask just to get papyri out of it and stuff like that. And lo and behold, and there was stuff about fragments being for sale, and there were other fragments from like Hebrews, and it was a collection, and all this stuff that was running around for years. And then when the fragment finally is published, and I guess you're not supposed to show the picture. From what I'm reading, I have it. I guess you can't get it anymore, but I got it. But there's 28 letters. There's 28 letters. Now, don't get me wrong. Evidently, it's a valuable find because it's from Mark chapter 1, and we did not have any papyri from this time period of Mark chapter 1. P45, the papyrus I'm working on, doesn't contain anything from Mark chapter 1. So P45 was considered the earliest. As far as paleography goes, I'm not an expert, but I am doing graduate level work in papyrology and textual criticism. And given my rather minimal skills in that area, it does strike me that there are fundamental similarities in the letter formation and style of this small fragment and what is found in P45. But there's 28 letters. So it's useful. It again confirms the general reliability of the text in that, there's nothing outrageous here. It doesn't tell us anything shocking. And it does go back, it's now one of the two earliest papyri witnesses to the Gospel of Mark. But as far as, the first century stuff, how it was found, this actually isn't all that unusual when you look, the Indiana Jones thing is sort of how things were for quite some time. And antiquities dealers and wheeling and dealing. And unfortunately, that kind of stuff actually does take place. And here I think we have an example of it. And hey, on this program, I said when that announcement was first made, you don't present something like that in a debate where the other side has never even heard of it and cannot respond to it, and it has not been vetted on a scholarly level. I said that from the start. I said that when Jay Smith presented as yet unpublished material in his debate with Shabir Ali. I said, that's not fair. The other side may do that to us. That does not give us the right to return the favor. That was just not fair. So that was a no-no. But then I said, look, folks, until this stuff is published and vetted and analyzed and debated, P52 remains our earliest papyrus. You might want to argue about one or two of the others, but you just don't go there. You don't jump into these things. We have to be consistent. It doesn't matter if the other side's not consistent. We have to be, because we're not being judged by the other side. We're being judged by the one that we're serving. So first century Mark is out there. It's just not first century. It's the beginning of third century. maybe end of second, but probably beginning of third century, just like P45. And it'll be. I'm not sure if I think I saw which papyrus number it's going to be, and so in Nestle 29, whenever that comes out, there in Mark 1, there will be a few little references to P whatever it is, 137 or 139 or 140. I don't even know which one it is. And it'll be there, and that's good as it should be. But yeah, that was a big story that ended up not being so much a big story.